David, you can start.
Okay, good morning. My name is David Uwandu, and today's KG session we'll be talking about SVG and Canvas, and these are both HTML elements for graphics and media. So we'll be looking at the similarities and differences of SVG and Canvas today. So let's go in. We're starting with SVG. So this is known as Scalable Vector Graphics, and it is an XML-based image format. And it is used to design two-dimensional images. It's used to define two-dimensional vector-based graphics for the web. And it is different from your normal JPG, GIF, and PNG. And these vector images can be scaled to any extent without losing their quality. So no matter how much you zoom in or you zoom out or you stretch it, it still retains the same quality. And SVG image is drawn out using a series of statements that follow the XML schema. And that means that the SVG images can be created and edited with any text editor, such as the notepad on your laptop. So you don't need any special code editor to create an SVG image. Now, advantages of the SVG graphics, the scalable vector graphics, is that it can be created with any text editor, as you mentioned. The images can be searched, indexed, scripted, and compressed. The images are scalable. Images can be printed with high quality at any resolution. The images are zoomable. Graphics do not lose any quality if they are zoomed or resized. It is also an open standard, and the files are pure XML. And it is possible to view the content of the SVG file in any browser, that is your Internet Explorer, your Chrome, Opera Mini, Firefox, Safari. So these are the advantages of the scalable vector graphics. Here we have a code example for an SVG. So you can see this is the body of an HTML document. And if you come down to this section where you have the SVG element, you will see that you have a circle tag inside the SVG tag. And we have the ID green circle. Then we have the X and Y with the radius of 50 and a fill of green. So this will create a green circle with a radius of 50. So moving on, HTML Canvas. The HTML element, that's the Canvas element, is used to draw graphics on the fly using JavaScript or a scripting language. Canvas is a rectangular area on an HTML page, and by default, the canvas has no border and no content. So it's just a space. It's just a container for graphics. That's the HTML canvas. And for you to draw on it, you need to use a scripting language like JavaScript. And it has several methods for drawing parts, boxes, circles, text, and adding images. Then down below, we have an example of the canvas tag, canvas element. So you have to give it a width and a height to define the size of that canvas on your HTML page. Now, the advantage of the canvas is that the element allows you to add so much more interactivity, because now we are using JavaScript, so you can manipulate and make the page more interactive and make your images and graphics more dynamic on your web page. And also, the canvas element helps you to turn images, photos, charts, and graphs into animated elements. Here we have an example of a code for a canvas element. And you can see here in the body, unlike the SVG, in the canvas element, there's nothing inside. We just define the borders and the width and the height, just giving it a shape. The drawing is done in the JavaScript section of the document. So here you can see the variables, and we have a few rect to make a rectangle with width of 100 and a height of 100. So the drawing is done in the JavaScript section, not in the element itself. Now let's move on to the differences of the SVG and the canvas. The first one is that SVG is vector-based. It is composed of shapes, while canvas is raster-based, composed of pixels. SVG has better scalability, so it can be printed with high quality at any resolution, but canvas has poor scalability, so it is not suited for printing on higher resolution. SVG gives better performance with small number of objects or larger surface, while Canvas gives better performance with small surface or larger number of objects. And SVG can be modified through scripts and CSS, but Canvas can only be modified through scripts. Then for the SVG, we have the multiple graphical elements which become the part of the page's DOM tree. But for this Canvas, it's just a single element, and it is similar to the image element in behavior. That means it does it's just similar to it. So like at the end of the day, you have a PNG or a JPEG format for the Canvas image. Now, SVG is a document format for scalable vector graphics, and while Canvas is a JavaScript API for drawing vector graphics to a bitmap of a specific size. So those are the differences between the SVG element and the Canvas element in HTML. So, and that brings us to the end of my session. Thank you for listening. I hope you all were able to learn a few things from this. If you have any questions, we'll be taking questions now. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, David. If you don't have a question, you don't have any question, you can ask and evaluate your audience.
Hello.
Okay.
I am.
Yes, I can hear you, Victor.
Okay. Sorry. I'm kind of like trying to get this together. Is it that the SVG and the Canvas? Can you see him?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it that they go together or they don't go together? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. What I understand Canvas to be is like it's like a book where you write something on, like probably write or put a picture or whatever you want to put on it. So I don't know, I don't know if you get my question.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. You can use both of them in your HTML document or in your web page, but it now depends on what or how you want that image to interact on the page. So if it's an image that will be zoomed in or maybe stretched, it is better you use the SVG, because at the end of the day, it still retains its quality. Do you understand? But if it's an image that, okay, not necessarily needs to be stretched or zoomed in on the web page, you can just use a Canvas, because at the end of the day, the SVG, the more images you put in it, increases the size of the file. And it might give lower performance when you have too many files in that element. Like, because each image you want to draw in the SVG, you have to create an element for it. But for the Canvas, you just draw in the JavaScript. So the Canvas is basically empty, but the JavaScript just applies the image and the graphics on it. Is that clear?
Okay, and thank you.
Any other question, please? Okay. In the absence of questions, I would like to throw one. Can anyone tell me just give me two differences between the SVG and the Canvas?
David, you still have like 10 minutes, so.
Okay. Monday Peters, are you there with us? Hello? Samuel, please, can you give us two differences between the SVG and the Canvas element?
Okay. From what you said, one differences I noticed is the SVG, the Canvas aids better performance compared to the SVG because of the JavaScript, and I think that's one I got.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Any other person would like to try?
Yeah. Can you see him?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, as you said, SVG when put on the page, it can be scalable, which means it won't lose its quality when you try to zoom in. Unlike the canvas, when you zoom in, it start to get distorted. It will start becoming blurry. Yeah, and secondly, SVG is kind of like heavy, and when put on a page, when you put too much SVG, it's kind of tends to slow down the performance, while Canvas does the opposite. Am I correct?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's see. Okay, these are references in case you want to read more on it. You can check out the references here.
All right, David, are you through?
Yes, I'm true.
Okay. The next speaker. Is he around? So, Shane, we can stop the live stream.